College football week one is basically done and over with. We still got TCU and North Carolina to see tomorrow night. I'm recording this Sunday following Miami and Notre Dame, and that'll be the first game we talk about. But we're going to look at each top 25 matchup, and we're going to go through every game there and give a little bit of information on it from an NFL draft perspective on who popped, who maybe dropped a little bit, and just talk about the games because I love college football and I love the NFL draft. And this channel is focused on the NFL draft. So we're going to focus on some of these guys that might be popping up their draft stock or dropping it down. We're going to kick it off, though, with the game I just finished watching. That's Miami and Notre Dame. Honestly, it looked like Miami was going to run away with this one early. They were playing great. Carson Beck was in control, looking good. And then they'd kind of hit a lull, and Notre Dame was able to answer. CJ Carr came to life. He started to look really good. And I think that, he gave you a lot of hope that he can be the future of this program like we initially thought. As far as Notre Dame, though, the big thing that disappointed me was Jeremiah Love. He just wasn't very good today. Darian Price broke off a long run, but other than that, he was pretty much held in check. They couldn't really run the ball, and that kind of shocked me. Their offensive line looked a little overmatched here against Miami. I mean, you just look at that last drive. They were able to get pressure from both Mesidor and Bain to really seal this game off. Granted, those are both very good pass rushers for the Hurricanes. I am a Gator fan, but, you got to respect teams. And when I'm doing this, I talk about Miami as not my rival, but as another team. And they are loaded on the defensive line, especially at the edge positions. And their defense this year looked a lot better. They were a little sloppy tackling earlier. It got better as the game went along. So they gave them a lot of hope compared to how they played last year. This Miami team, they looked really good and they deserve a ton of credit. Carson Beck, like I said, he was efficient in this game. He just looked like a good distributor. He made the right decisions. He wasn't panicked. He looked like a veteran out there. I mean, he went 20 of 30. He had 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, he was just calm, collected, in control. When he needed it, he was able to lead him on a drive. I really think Carson Beck showed you basically what you should have expected out of him. I wasn't sure because of the end of his Georgia tenure, but you know what? I think he showed you a little bit in this game that the issues at Georgia last year extended far beyond him. I still don't think he's a top-end NFL draft prospect, but I think in this game he popped a little bit. His deep accuracy still struggles. He did miss multiple deep balls, but I think he was a really good player, and you got to give him credit. He looked more like the guy from 2 years ago, in my opinion, today, and that's a good sign for him and his draft stock. Looking at their running game, Mark Fletcher was good. I really expected that out of him. Jamar Brown, he had some good carries, tough runner. Really liked what I seen out of him. I think the guy on offense for Miami that really impressed me the most had to be Malachi Toney, the true freshman receiver. He had a huge play early in the game for a touchdown, and he looked good out there. He really looked like he belonged, and you got to give him a ton of credit. This is against a good defense. They have good corners. Granted, they are a little young in their backups, but their starters are good. I got to give a lot of credit, and I think this guy could be really good this year. CJ Daniels had one of the coolest catches you'll see this season for a touchdown. I mean, great catch right before halftime. It was an awesome, awesome play, man. Like, there isn't a whole lot to say about it. He snagged that with one hand, got down with it, and if he didn't, that was probably an interception, in my opinion. Was not a good throw by Carson Beck, but he made that right. I still am shocked he left LSU, but he looks like he's going to fit into this offense really well. I just want to talk about a few guys on Miami's defense that really popped today. I think Ruben Bain Jr. had a fantastic game out there. He had half a sack, I think it was. They gave him credit for. He had an interception. Ruben Bain was just all over the field today. Some people are a little hesitant on him, but I really think he's a good player. Mesidor ended the game for the Hurricanes with that big sack. He was fantastic. And once again, man, like, this edge rushing crew is just, I got to emphasize, they're going to be a problem for anybody that takes on Miami this year. Since this game's also fresher in my mind, we're going to go ahead and talk about the earlier game today, and that's Lenora Sellers and the South Carolina Gamecocks taking down the Virginia Tech Hokies in Atlanta. This was a 24-11 final. It was ugly, and it was ugly for a lot of this game. South Carolina woke up in the fourth quarter and took over. Lenora Sellers, he showed his positives. He also showed some of his negatives in this game, and he still has a lot of growing to do, but I think as the game went along, he got better. He was getting more comfortable. He showed why everybody loves this kid as a prospect. He just has every tool you're looking for in the toolbox. It's just a matter of making sure he can get through multiple reads and stay consistent, and, he deserves a ton of credit as both a runner and a passer in this game. Nick Harbor with that huge 64-yard touchdown. And I still think he had another touchdown in this game in the corner of the end zone they didn't give him. That should also be on both Sellers and his stat line. I think that that was a fantastic catch on his behalf. I get it. The ball came out at the very end, but it's a stupid rule. He was in the end zone, feet down. Whatever, man. To me, that looks like a catch. That should be a catch, but I'm not gonna, it is what it is. I'm gonna give him credit for that play. It was a really nice play. He looked like everything we've always wanted him to be and why he has the potential to be a seriously insane NFL draft prospect. And, that really showed up today, in my opinion. Looking at their defense, Dylan Stewart, he had a good day. He had a sack for him. He's really good. Another guy I want to talk about on this defense, Jalen Kilgore. I think he had a really good day for these guys. DQ Smith looked pretty good out there today as well. The big thing with Virginia Tech is Kyron Drones just disappointed. He's somebody I would have been unreasonably high on. And 2 years ago, I really liked this kid. I thought the sky was the limit for him, but he just never really seemed to put it together. He struggled today with 2 interceptions, very inefficient passing the ball. Just to me, doesn't breed a whole lot of hope. And if you want to check out the ACC preview, I basically said that last year I would have been unreasonably high on Virginia Tech because of him. And it's just disappointing. He's somebody that has a lot of talent, but he just doesn't seem to be able to put it together. I think as far as Virginia Tech goes, their defense was really good. Their offense just stunk, in my opinion. And I didn't get a lot of hope from this game. South Carolina, I thought, should have beat them by more, but they didn't play well in the first half, especially on offense. Got to give a lot of credit to the Hokies defense. I mean, they did a good job there, but yeah, this game definitely was a little closer than I thought, but ultimately, all that matters is South Carolina came out on top and they got the victory in this one. Now, we're going to go ahead and go through some other games here on the schedule. Some games I want to go through a little quicker. Boise State getting blown out. I mean, come on now. Who could have seen that one coming? We're going to get back to the bigger games, but we're going to do our quick hitter section right here. South Florida. I'm going to watch them live next week in the swamp. So there's going to be a little gap in some games that I might not be able to watch before I do my recap for the week and talk about them. I'm going to follow along on my phone, but I'm going to be in the swamp watching South Florida and the Gators play. I am a Gators fan. And thanks to a buddy of mine, our family's able to go with his, and we're going to be going to the game. So really excited about it. I usually try to get to at least a game a year. And this year it wasn't looking like we were going to. And then he kind of came through with a surprise offer and we were able to go. So super excited about it. But they looked awesome. As a Gator fan, I don't really love the next 3 weeks on our schedule. It is miserable. We got South Florida, who I still think we should beat, but I didn't think they were going to be this good. It's either Boise State's really bad or they're really good. And I'm afraid they might be really good. And they could give the Gators trouble. I think, right after that, we take on LSU, and then we take on not South Carolina, Miami, and that's a really tough stretch, man. But South Florida deserves a ton of credit, and I didn't expect it out of them. Alex Golesh did a great job. I mean, who could have thought it? Moving on to the next one, Illinois absolutely blew out Western Illinois. Don't think you can really learn a whole lot from this game. I expected that. They're the number 12 team in the nation. In my opinion, they're a good team, and I expect them to maybe surprise. Talk about my Gators real quick. 55-0 over Long Island. Vernell Brown, the third, the true freshman receiver, looked fantastic in that game. He had a beautiful catch that was very similar to Odell Beckham's, and he just showed a ton of potential, both as a returner, a receiver. He looked super dynamic. DJ Lagway looked a little rusty at the beginning of it. He seemed to get better as the game went along for him, but he definitely showed some rust. Hopefully he can get that knocked off and he plays better next week, and he's ready as the season gets in the swing and he's healthy. Our offense, Jaden Baugh was fantastic. I really have nothing negative to say, and you can't say a whole lot negative. Our true freshman quarterback, Tramel Jones, really played well as well. Didn't expect him to win the backup job, but man, it looks like if he's got to play, the kid might be able to play a little bit. Lower tier opponent, but just certain things. He has a good arm. He had good ball placement. I feel pretty good about that. Continuing on to the next one, Penn State blew out Nevada. Everything you expected here. Drew Allard looked good in this game. I think he popped a little bit. And to be honest with you, I'm big on Drew Allard. He's my number 1 or 2 quarterback in this class. I gave Arch the number 1 spot because, Arch Manning, I think I got caught up a little bit in the hype of his because I gave him a boom bust grade, just kind of behind the scenes. I did not have a high level generational type grade on Arch Manning. And I don't honestly on anybody in this class. I have a lot of them kind of in that what I consider like a boom bust range, where I see the potential, and especially in the summer, it's easy to give a lot of people this grade. I seen the potential in Arch, and you know, we'll get into him later, but Drew Aller impressed me today. He's in that boom bust category as well, which is where I have the top of this quarterback class. I think as long as they don't get prospect fatigue on him and he continues to develop and do well, I really think he could potentially be one of the top 2 to 3 quarterbacks in this class, maybe even end up at number one. We're going to move on now. Georgia Marshall, absolute blowout. Didn't learn much. Gunnar Stockton, not as good as I was hoping he would be in this game. I'm a little worried about Georgia this year. I think their quarterback play, a little spotty. I'm not going to lie to you. Zachariah Branch had a big play for him and a touchdown. I think he stood out a little bit. Overall, Georgia did everything you would have expected them to do today. It's like Oregon. You got to give a lot of credit to Dante Moore in his first career start. He looked really good. Oregon won 59-13, but they're playing Montana State. So you really don't have a whole lot you can learn from this game, in my opinion. Same thing with Arizona State over Northern Arizona, other than the fact that they kind of disappointed me a little bit. I thought they might win by more. Sam Levitt looked all right in this game from what I've seen. I will admit I haven't been able to get back and watch the all 22 on it yet. So it was a lot of box score and highlight type info from here, which is why it's in the quick hitter. I couldn't really get a ton of information, but he looked good. Jordan Tyson popped. He showed why he is my number one receiver in this class right now. I'm excited to watch the all 22 and try to get some new grades on these guys with film that's fresh. And this will be what's used to ultimately decide their grade if they do come out. Michigan struggled with New Mexico. I expected more out of them, winning 34-17. Bryce Underwood, though, as a true freshman, showed a lot of promise out there. Justice Haynes out of the backfield looked really good, in my opinion. He deserves a ton of credit. Their tight end, Klein, played well as well. Moving on now, SMU blew out East Texas A&M. Nothing shocking there. 42-13. Kind of expected that one. I didn't think they were going to struggle at all. Kevin Jennings looked comfortable. He played well in this one. They didn't really have much of a running game, which does kind of worry me a little bit, especially with their, they lost Brashad Smith, and I think it's a big part of their offense. And I think it'll help them in the long term. A little worried seeing that they didn't show up against East Texas A&M. So there's a few concerns there, but whatever. Kansas State now, I really am sad with my prediction on them. I think I had them going 9-3 in my preview, or 8-4. I'm not confident in that at all. Avery Johnson, his stats look good, but again, he just underwhelmed when you watch him. And they struggled all day in this one. Defense didn't play good. Offense didn't do bad. I mean, they put up 38 points. They deserve credit for that. But there was just a lot of missed opportunities and times where things shouldn't have been as hard as they were. I forget. Let me look real quick. Like, Johnson looked all right. He had 3 touchdowns, no picks. His completion percentage was fine. His QBR was all right. But they had 3 fumbles. That's what I needed to look up. I knew it was either 2 or 3. No, it was 2 fumbles. Sorry, they had 2 fumbles in this game. I knew Avery Johnson had one. And yeah, they kind of kicked themselves in the butt all day in this game, and they're lucky that they won. They won it in the final minute or just before the final minute. They deserve a ton of credit for walking out with the victory, but it was ugly. Oklahoma beat Illinois State. John Mateer looked fantastic. He showed all the potential in the world. Jaden Ott was somebody I expected more out of that. He only had 1 carry in this game, and he was low on depth chart. I think they came out post-game and said it was because he was injured during the camp, but I don't know. Weird. Expected more out of him. We'll have to see. Their running game wasn't great, in my opinion. Texas A&M beat UTSA 42-24. Marcel Reed looked fantastic passing the ball. Makes me feel good about my, I don't want to say super aggressive, but a little aggressive prediction on them. I like Marcel Reed. I think he's a really good player. Indiana struggled a bit with Old Dominion. I think Fernando Mendoza had some really good high-level throws, but he also showed some worrisome things in this game, and he just didn't play as well as he should have against Old Dominion. So little curious there. I'd almost list that as a drop in my opinion. In week 1, there's going to be a lot of quarterback talk. I'm not going to lie to you. We're all curious about him. Ole Miss blew out Georgia State. Nothing really to show there. Austin Simmons debuted being just as good as they expected. What can you expect? The kid's young. He's smart. And he has super arm talent. I'm a Gator fan. He was committed to the Gators for a while and then flipped on signing day. The dude has a lot of talent, so I'm not surprised that he's good. Iowa State blew out South Dakota. Watched some of this game. Rocco Becht was fantastic in it. He was electric, man. I can't wait to watch the film. It's bad competition, but he looked like he was very comfortable this week. Texas Tech blew out Arkansas Pine Bluff. Baron Morton, again, just shined. Texas Tech, I'm telling you, I'm really high on them. I have them going 10-2. They showed everything you want to see. Now, the first game I want to jump a little bit more in depth to, but it's still probably going to be a quicker one, is Tennessee Syracuse. Joey Aguilar deserves so much credit for how he played today, or yesterday, I should say, as we're recording this Sunday night. The kid was fantastic. And in some ways, I think he's a better fit in this offense than Nico Iamaliava ever was. And I mean, we're not really going to talk about that game, but Utah, holy smokes, dude. They look as good as I thought they could be. And I think I might have even been a little too low on them. Kyle Whittingham's such a good coach. And Devin Dampierre at quarterback was fantastic. Granted, UCLA looks like trash. Nico looked like trash. I hate to dunk on the kid, but he didn't look good. I didn't like him really at Tennessee. I know he has the potential, but to me, he was somebody that was he never looked comfortable. He was panicked in the pocket under pressure. He made poor decisions. He would rush, his mechanics would get off, his ball placement would fade, and all them problems continued. And that's where I want to give Joey Aguilar his credit. I feel like he handled things better in this game than Nico would have. And maybe Tennessee's going to be better than I thought because I was kind of low on him because I didn't know what to expect. And I was giving credit to Nico that I don't know why. I wasn't high on Nico. I had a late round grade on him. I had him as like a sixth, seventh round grade, maybe a fifth rounder for a flyer. I'd have to look. I think I put him at the bottom of the fifth round, which is somebody who has the potential to possibly start when I grade these guys. But I put him really low because I just don't believe in him right now. And either way, I didn't give enough credit to Joey Aguilar. Dude looked fantastic. I watched this game and I tell you what, he led the team up and down the field on offense. He made it seemed like all the right reads when he needed to. He was just fantastic. He has a good arm. And, at receiver, Braylon Staley had that long touchdown that was like, incredible. I think Chris Brazel is a good receiver. I think I said it in my preview. I really liked him. He had a couple drops in there, though, a couple plays that I wish he would have made. Miles Kitzman didn't do much at tight end, but he is a good tight end. On the ground, dude, they ran the ball fantastic against the Orange. Star Thomas was great. Deshaun Bishop was great. Peyton Lewis was good. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry. Joey Aguilar was good on the ground as well. I mean, this offense looked like a well-oiled machine. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think I gave them enough credit coming into the year. Now, Syracuse, I didn't expect big things out of. I didn't really think they'd win this game. I think Steve Angeli's a good quarterback, but he definitely showed some flaws in this game. He got better, in my opinion, as the game went along. He had a little bit of like a fluky interception on his stat line, but, he's still new to this offense, and I just don't think there's a ton of talent around him. I'm not going to lie this year. I think Yassine Willis played really well in this game, 3 touchdowns on the ground, but he wasn't super efficient. More of that to me was probably on the offensive line, though. I'm just not real high on the Orange's offensive line. I think Jonte Cook looked pretty good at receiver, actually, but it was a lot of underneath stuff, shorter plays. He did bust off like a 30-yard run, I think, or catch. I mean, I think he has the potential to be a really good player, but there's questions off the field for him to figure out. He's not draft eligible yet, but to me, he stood out. Defensively, I like David Reese, former Gator who plays for the Syracuse Orange. He had a good day for him. Deuce Chestnut was good, which I expected that out of him. He's somebody that I think could be a decent, maybe late round prospect right now. Not going to pretend I'm super high on him, but he has somebody that could sneak into draft talk, in my opinion. And I mean, looking at defense, you got to give Arian Carter a ton of credit for Tennessee. He had a sack. He was disruptive all over the field. I mean, Joshua Josephs had a sack in this game as well. He was another guy I think gets a lot of hype. I'll admit I haven't really watched him. I'm not going to lie to you. But yeah, man, I was really impressed by Tennessee. My main takeaway from this was just Tennessee is better than I thought. Josh Heupel's a good coach. I don't like his offense for developing prospects. I'm not going to sit here and say I do, but it works in college. And Joey Aguilar he looks like he fits like a glove. And I don't expect big things out of the Orange, but man, they do deserve some credit for that game or that victory over them today. So Tennessee definitely impressed me more than I thought they would. I think the next game I probably want to talk about is let's just jump into the one at noon that everybody watched. And there's a lot to digest in this game, but it was Arch Manning and Julian Sayin getting their first starts for Texas and Ohio State. Ohio State ended up coming out on top 14-7. This was just a defensive slugfest. And to be honest with you, I think Julian Sayin looked pretty comfortable, but to be honest, I wasn't crazy impressed by him. Like his throw to Carnell Tate was a nice play by Carnell Tate, not a great throw by Julian Sayin. And I think that the fact that he had better weapons showed, which is something I said in the preview. I just think Ohio State has the better roster. They had the better high end talent than Texas. And I think that's what ultimately came through and showed. But Texas's defense is legit. Arch Manning struggled. Matt Patricia had him lost. Am I willing to give up on him as a prospect? No. And the people are like, oh, yeah, he played horrible high school competition. This is what you get. He struggled against Georgia last year and he struggled against Ohio State. I'm not going to sit here and say that I think he's generational. I told you my grade on him is not generational. For my grade scale, he's an 8.45, which means I would take him in the first round, but he's a first round boom bust prospect. That is what that grade is to me. Some guys are that because I don't necessarily view him as a boom bust, but for him, he was a boom bust prospect. I talked about it last year with Michael Williams and my grading system. The only reason he got high was because of that same thing, boom bust. I just think Arch Manning's the same way, and he showed that to me, he's not ready to come out this year. And to be honest, I didn't really expect him to, but I think it'll be very unlikely to see him. I don't want to dunk on him and say the kid's not good. I still see talent there. He has good ball placement at times. And I mean, at times today, his mechanics were awful underneath pressure. There's no reason to give this kid a bye and say and a pass and say, oh man, he just had an off day. No, he played trash out there today for the first 3 quarters. He was garbage. But in the fourth quarter, he showed a little bit of that potential. Now, how much of that was Ohio State maybe playing a little bit safer and a little bit blander defense? I do think that was probably some of it. But I think ultimately the thing here is it was a first time starter taking on a defense that is legit. I mean, to me, I know they lost so much talent, but they have good players on this team. I mean, Arvil Reese popped on defense. Lorenzo Styles is a really good linebacker, is a good player. Sonny Styles is a good linebacker. He's the linebacker. I mess them two up every now and then. Lorenzo's a corner. I mean, Igbenoson's still a pretty good player. I mean, he had 10 tackles. He has his issues he needs to clean up for being a draft prospect. But he showed up today when he needed to, and he made good plays, and he didn't have that big mistake. But I mean, of course, Caleb Downs is a beast. And I think that's kind of the difference. Like, Jeremiah Smith didn't live up to his hype today, and he didn't really have his best day, in my opinion. But you know what? I just think the top end talent of Ohio State showed they're still a really good team and they're a well coached team. Ryan Day, there was a lot of questions with him last year about whether he would ever win the big one. And then when he finally got his team going after that Michigan loss, got him to rally, and they just came together and they finished it off, I think you're going to see a whole new guy for the next few years. And he deserves a ton of credit, man. This team was prepared. They played super hard. And although it wasn't a fun, high scoring game to watch, if you like defensive battles, this was a good game to watch. And I'm going to finish it off by saying Ohio State's going to be really good. I predicted that. I still think Texas is going to be good. I just think Arch Manning kind of got the worst possible situation to begin his time as a first time start or as a full time starter. He started 2 games last year. He played who was it? UL Monroe, I think, and Mississippi State, if I remember right. Not great teams. So at the end of the day, I think he just needs some time. He has, I think, 2 games or so to get right before taking on the Gators, or 3 games that he should be able to win before he takes on the Gators. And we'll see. I could be wrong on him, but I still think he has the potential to be a good player. But to me, as a prospect, he's all boom bust. And honestly, more likely than not, he's a next year guy, not a this year guy. I think another guy I want to talk about as far as draft prospect goes, I think Malik Muhammad actually had a good day on Jeremiah Smith overall. Anthony Hill, he's always good. I really like him as a prospect. I think he had a good day. And yeah, I think this was a good game. I think it was a tough, hard fought throwback defensive battle that, it was interesting. Got to give a lot of credit to Ryan Day and Matt Patricia because they made life miserable for Arch Manning today. And I don't even think Sarkisian called a great game. I think Matt Patricia, and I seen it was Kyle Van Noy tweeted it out, that it was the same game plan they used against the Falcons in the Super Bowl and in the next season that really did give them issues with Sark as their play caller. So there's something there that if people can mimic it, Texas might be in trouble, or maybe he can finally learn from it and get it figured out. But that's really it, man. It was a great game. It was hard fought. I think these are 2 teams that are still going to be really good, in my opinion. I think Ohio State was the better team today, and I think they deserved the win. And ultimately, Julian Sayin was the better quarterback because he didn't make the mistake that Arch Manning did. But I don't think either quarterback was great in their first start today. I think I'm going to save Alabama, Florida State until the end after this game because I really want to talk about this one. And that was LSU Clemson. I'll tell you what, I wasn't a big Cade Klubnik guy. I have a like bottom of the second round grade on him, a little bit more like what I had on Jackson Dart. And to me, that was if he hit his upside this season. And he didn't play great in this game. In my opinion, he continued to show that he doesn't play well against top competition, which is one of the reasons why I'm not high on him as a draft prospect. I think Garrett Nussmeyer, on the other hand, played really well today. Or yesterday. He was fantastic. I mean, his ball placement, his eyes, and his decision making going through reads were fantastic. Man, I wish he was a little bit bigger because I think I'd be higher on him during the summer. Size worries me, and the interceptions worried me a little bit coming into this season. I'm not gonna lie to you, but Nussmeyer, man, he has everything you're looking for. Like, I can see this kid, even though he's not a runner, he's gonna have to end up being. And it's not the LSU reference here when I say this, but he's gonna have to play the game like Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and I think today in this game, he showed that he can, which is really exciting when you look at him as a draft prospect. So I can't wait to really dig in and actually watch this game from the all 22 perspective because I don't have access to it right now. But as soon as I do, man, I can't wait to dig in and watch it. He was awesome, though. This game, another defensive struggle. I thought Clemson controlled the first half, and then LSU in the second half, man, their defense just clamped down and they just kept chipping away and doing what they should have done or needed to do to ultimately end up winning. I think the decision for halftime I also want to talk about with Brian Kelly, not good. I don't understand why with 15 seconds left you don't take a field goal on fourth down. So you get a first down there. If you're lucky, you get a shot at the end zone, maybe. And that might not even lead to any time to be able to get a field goal after that if you don't get it. So I really hated the decision. I just thought it was poor decision making. And that's just what it is. I think it was a bad decision. I think it's one of the reasons why I'm not high on Brian Kelly as a head coach. I think that's why his teams haven't been able to win at the highest levels. Like, he's been good, don't get me wrong. He's gotten Notre Dame to the title, but I think it's one of the reasons why they haven't gotten over the top and won it all. He just makes decisions that I don't love. I mean, that's just kind of what it is. Clemson couldn't run the ball, though. LSU's defense just shut them down all day. As far as LSU goes, though, Caden Durham looked good. The kid is a low runner. He's a tough runner. He's physical. I really like him, man. As a Gator fan, I'm not looking forward to playing these guys. I think they have a ton of good players, and Durham's going to be hard to stop. And then, they have a really good quarterback in Nussmeyer. So this is going to be a tough game, man, when they meet. And this is going to be a really good team. And I don't think I was high enough on them, and they might actually be the team to beat in the SEC, in my opinion, this year. I really could see a world where they do it. If Brian Kelly can get it together for a full year, this might be the team to beat. My biggest question coming into this game, though, was at receiver. I still think they kind of struggled there a little bit. And at times, there was just missed opportunities, drops. I think Aaron Anderson did good, but Trey'Dez Green didn't pop like you hoped. You could see they kept trying to force him the ball, but it just wasn't coming together. He wasn't able to finish the plays at times. So I want to see that improve. He did have a big touchdown where he walled off Avion Terrell and he caught the ball over him, which is exactly what you want from this kid. He's like 6'5", 6'6", fast. I think he weighs about 250 pounds. He used to play basketball. He's everything you want in a tight end. He just seems raw to me. They're really pushing the ball to him because he's very athletically gifted and he has fantastic size. I think he's going to be a good player for him. He didn't pop in this game, but that touchdown was a nice sign to see out of him. At receiver for Clemson, I think Bryant Wesco had a good day for them, but I think them missing Antonio Williams really ultimately hurt this offense a little bit. I don't view Cade Klubnik as a difference maker. I view him as somebody who can succeed in the right circumstances, and I think losing a guy like Antonio Williams is going to hurt this offense, and ultimately that could have been difference in this game because like I said, I don't view him as a difference maker. So to me, losing a guy like that in a big game like this isn't going to help Clemson survive. Now looking at Clemson's defense, dude, they were incredible. So was LSU. I mean, there were so many good defensive efforts, but you expect that this early in the season. It's usually the defense ahead of the offense at this point. If you watch any football, Terrell looked good. Uh, Wade Woodaz looked good to me when he was out there. Sammy Brown was good. Hannafin was all over the field for him. Haven't really watched him. Peter Woods was good. I was hoping for, I thought he might have a sack or two in there, but he never got it. TJ Parker, he had a dumb penalty, real late hit on Nussmeyer that extended a drive, but overall, he wasn't bad in this game. He's a high end prospect, though, that still has some work to do, in my opinion, to lock up a top spot. But honestly, the guy when it comes to defense that I really want to talk about, Harold Perkins was incredible out there. They had him spying Klubnik. They had it. He was just all over the field, man. Harold Perkins is a former 5 star that almost he was between the Gators and LSU. Ultimately, he chose LSU. And, his freshman year, he was fantastic. He dominated. Then last year, they tried to move him off the ball. Didn't really work. This year, they have him in more of a hybrid role, which is what I think his future is. He is a fantastic player, though, super athletically gifted. And that really showed up. There was multiple times, and I mean, he ended the game with Klubnik, but where his spy on Klubnik, he was able to just, with his athleticism, no matter where he was in the formation, get all the way across the field to be there and cut Klubnik off. And it really hurt this offense, man. I think Harold Perkins, he reminded people today why after his freshman season, everybody was really high on him. I think Whit Weeks was good in his return from his ankle injury, but Mansour Delane was somebody at corner that looked really good out there. I think he was awesome. I think AJ Halsey played pretty well when he returned in the second half after that weird suspension thing that happened this week. But overall, man, LSU really impressed. I think they might be the best team in the SEC. I'm sure Georgia will have something to say about that. I'm hoping my Gators do, but they didn't really play anybody, so you don't know. So right now, LSU is the team I feel the best about. Texas, I still think has a ton of potential. Alabama, you know, we're gonna transition to that mess now. I have no faith in Alabama anymore. I am personally was a really how do I say this? I was a Kalen DeBoer fan. I was betting on him. I thought he was going to be a good coach for them. I knew there were some geographical questions, because he was more of a Midwest guy, northern Midwest guy over there. He just isn't a Southeast guy. And I didn't think it was going to be an issue. I thought, Alabama, they were just going to get the good players, everything was going to work out. But that culture, it's not Alabama anymore, man. This team's not, they're not tough. They're not disciplined. Man, I know it's a little thing, but you got spanked by Florida State and they're posting TikTok dances up. Come on now. You should be embarrassed with your performance with that. Like, at the end of the day, you're at Alabama. This is professional. Like, I don't know. Like, it's all right to have fun and all, but I don't think the tough mentality's there. I didn't see it happening like this, but I don't know that Kalen DeBoer's the guy. I think he needs a complete culture shift if this team's ever going to get it figured out. And I don't know, man. I was high on him coming into the year because like I said, I like Kalen DeBoer. I thought Ty Simpson would offer a little bit more of like a steady hand than Jalen Milrow. And to be honest with you, I think the issues are deeper with Alabama. I think Caden Proctor, who a lot of people are really high on as a draft prospect, was awful in this game. And I think Jeremy Bernard was probably the best player for Alabama on the field. And to be honest, there was times where I felt like there was more. Like he had 8 for 146. You can't complain and say he didn't play good, but Ryan Williams disappointed. I mean, Ty Simpson didn't do good. But it's hard to say. I need to watch the all 22 because sometimes I'm like, man, he did everything he could. Like the dude's moving in the pocket, trying to find something, and he's just not throwing the ball. So when it comes down to that, the all 22 will tell me, like, is there nobody open? Or was he just not, too slow to pull the trigger and not seeing the field well? So there are questions that once I watch all 22, I'll get better answers of and I'll feel better about, but haven't been able to do that yet. So I'm really curious for that, but I don't feel good about them. Honestly, I feel really bad. I thought Deontay Lawson, I had really high hopes for him, but I don't think he had the best day today for them. I don't think really anybody on their defense was good. I think they were pretty bad. I thought LT Overton, would be better. Uh, there was a lot of hype for him. I can't say I was as high on him, but he was part of that D line that was being bullied by Florida State. And I'm a Gator fan, so this is hard to say, but I was low on the Seminoles coming in. I had them going 7-5. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I feel a whole lot differently about him after this game. Excuse me. After this game, like Castellanos didn't have to throw the ball. He went 9 of 14 for 152 yards, didn't make any mistakes. But if the Seminoles get forced into throwing the ball, that's where I have issues with Tommy Castellanos, and that's where I think Florida State could still struggle this year. And I know I'm a Gator fan, so everybody's going to say, "Oh, you're just biased, you're just a hater." But look, I'll give Miami their dues. I expect Miami to be a really good team. I wasn't expecting this out of Florida State, and Castellanos was electric. I don't want to get negative. He was electric today, man. And I've seen multiple times people mentioning like Kyler Murray, and there's times where that is what he looked like out there, man. He was electric, and he drove this team, man. And his declaration in like June that they were gonna go in there and they don't have Nick Saban anymore, I thought was kind of funny at the moment, and was like, dude, you're talking a big game for a guy who was benched at Boston College. Like, I'm from Massachusetts initially. I'm a Patriots fan. You can see the tin over here. Like, I was like, man, what are you doing? Like, why? Why are you talking like this? Like, if you're all that, why didn't you continue starting at Boston College? And then I look at it now and I'm like, man, maybe he got a bad rep at Boston College for a bad team around him. But then you sit back after the game and, like I said, you look at the box score and you go, some of his weaknesses at Boston College didn't show up today because they weren't forced into having to throw the ball. They were able to have their way running it. They just ran it down their throat. Sawtruck didn't have a great day, but he had 6 carries. He averaged 4.7. Chroma, 4.4. Danzy had a couple big plays for him. Roydell Williams didn't have a great day for him. I expected more out of him, I'm not going to lie. But, dude, they just, every time they needed it, they were able to get the yards on the ground. This was, Gus Malzahn always gives Alabama issues, and maybe this is the Gus Bus hangover effect for Alabama, despite Nick Saban not being there. He just knows how to mess with them. But I don't know, man. He was really in his bag today. And if he can keep that up all season, Florida State's going to be a lot better team than I give him credit for. I kind of thought he might have been past his prime a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. And then today, man, he called a masterclass, and Alabama they weren't tough enough. And he showed the ground game that he's always been known for, as a head coach at Auburn. And I don't think at UCF it necessarily transferred, but Gus Malzahn, man, he leaned into it. He was in his bag. He just ran it at him, and he made sure that he let Alabama know they're the tougher team. And yeah, man, it was a surprising game to watch. I was cooking dinner, getting ready to cook dinner yesterday, and I was expecting this game when I'm planning out the day. I'm like, oh, I'll throw it on my iPad. I'll be able to have it set up on the counter as I'm working on cooking, and Alabama will be up, but I'll be able to keep an eye on it, try to watch prospects, and not feel too bad about not sitting down and just enjoying it. And at this moment, when I was cooking dinner, I was like, wait a minute here. It's like 17-7 and Florida State's up 24-7. And you're like, what the heck is going on in Tallahassee? Like, bro, I wish that I could have just sat down and watched this whole game and not had to cook dinner. But, woo, man, like it was eye opening. As a Gator fan, our schedule already sucked. Miami looks so freaking good though, man. And Florida State looked good against Alabama. And I'm like, man, the Gators are going to be in for it this year. That's the best thing I can say. I'm a Gator fan, but like they deserve it's them and Miami deserve so much credit, man. Like they were fantastic. And it's great to see the state of Florida hopefully have three good teams because, as somebody who lives down here now and has lived here for a while, it was kind of getting old here in Georgia and Alabama and Texas and all these teams constantly reaching to Florida to take all the best players and be like, you Florida schools suck. You got all this talent and you guys all suck. So as much as I dislike Florida State and Miami, you know what, man? I'd love to see them be good because I'm just tired of it, man. It was as a as a fan of college football, it was great to see this upset. And people talked about storming the field. Florida State absolutely should have stormed the field, man. They sucked last year. Like, you know what the relief is to knock off the number 8 team in the nation, to open up a season after going, what, 2-10 last year? Like, and everybody doubted them, myself included. They got brought in so many transfers on this team. And I just think as a fan base, as a team, there was a lot of relief, a lot of frustration that got let out in this game. And you know what, man? They created a lot of belief today. And even as a hater, they deserved their dues, man. They took down the evil empire in Alabama. And you know what? I can't really hate them for that. So they deserve credit, man. It was a fun game to watch just to see them guys just absolutely manhandle Alabama was just impressive. But it's just a long rant talking about these games. But man, like I know a lot of you watched them, but I just like when you're watching a game like this, like you're always waiting for that other shoe to drop and the team that you think's better to take over. And every time Alabama started to do it, it's just like Florida State reminded them, like, nah, man, we're tougher than you. We're stronger than you. We're better than you. And I was impressed. And that's really all I can say about this game. Like, I didn't see it coming. My predictions this week were awful. If you look, I always do predictions for college football. Excuse me. Sorry, I sneezed there. But I always do predictions for college football. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't good this week, and that was fine by me. I did have Ohio State winning, though. I think I had Clemson beat LSU because I wasn't a fan of Brian Kelly. Of course, I had Alabama winning. I think I even said they were going to blow them out. Like, I just wasn't very high on Florida State. And yeah, man, it was an interesting week of football, man. And we finally got a lot of information that we all were looking for. So it's just good to see and good to be able to sit down and enjoy a full Saturday of football, get into Sunday watching it. I watch both college and the NFL, but I'll admit I'm probably more of a college fan nowadays. When I was younger, I was all NFL, but man, they're just college. Like I can't say I was all NFL, but NFL led the way. But college, man, it's different. Like you don't see games like this where upsets happen very often in the NFL because you expect any team can win on any given Sunday. So when nobody's giving Florida State credit and people are like, "Oh, Lee Corso's crazy for picking them," and as somebody who grew up and is in the age group I'm in, man, I'm in my 30s. Like Lee Corso retiring is a bittersweet thing. Like, man's 90 and he deserves to retire, but dude, he's your entire childhood growing up, and college game day is it's gonna be different without him full time. But yeah, man, I got to give credit to him at the end of this. If you're still here, like I love Lee Corso, man. He always every story I hear about him, he's genuine. He's just a big football fan. He's kind, and I hope he lives a long time and enjoys his retirement. And yeah, college football lost an icon, and much respect to him. So it was cool to see him pick this game and get it right when nobody, and I mean nobody, thought this was going to happen. That's really it, man. Like, I'll probably talk a little bit about TCU North Carolina when I do the preview if you're wondering about that. This video might not be up till Tuesday, but I probably won't have the preview here paired with this one if I'm being honest with you. I just don't think I'll have time to record it and add it when I'm editing this video to get it out still. So we'll be out with our NFL predictions, season predictions. I got to do a mock draft still before the season really gets going. And this season, of course, I'm going to continue my college picks, so I got to get that out to you. We're going to do college picks, NFL recap, college recap, and mock drafts thrown in there throughout the year. If there's anything else you want to see, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Love y'all. I'm out.